Hey fam, I'm going to talk during this video about animal abuse. So this is just a quick trigger warning. If that is a subject that you're not comfortable listening to, then maybe you should skip this video. What I want to talk about is the warning signs of domestic violence that can be observed in a partner in the way that they interact with animals. So I'm going to basically just do a quick story time of something that I actually experienced. I lived in an apartment at one point, and the apartment needed to be renovated by the apartment complex. So they moved me, and I was living with a boyfriend at the time, and we moved into a temporary unit. I had a dog at the time named Jellybean, and the person I was dating had his child over visiting. And we were heading back about an hour away to his mom's house, and she was put in the car seat in my car. He didn't even have his own car, which was also a red flag, but we can get into that in a whole nother video. I put her in a car seat in the back of the car, and my dog got into the car next to her in the back seat. And as he was climbing over the car seat, his paws went down on her leg, not to harm her, but it was just the weight of him made her upset, and she did start crying a little bit. And the reaction from my partner at the time was completely disproportionate to the incident and a bit absurd. He ripped my dog out of the back of the car, slammed my dog onto the concrete, onto the asphalt where we were parked, caused my dog to yelp and scream, and split my dog's paws open so much that with his force of hurting my dog that the dog's paws split open and the dog was bleeding from the paws. My dog ran into the temporary unit that we were in and was trying to get away from him. And when she ran in there, he followed me in there because I followed after my dog. And the dog was tracking blood all over the carpet. And I was in a state of shock. I didn't really know how to process what was going on, but I started trying to clean up the blood on the carpet because my thought was, well, this is not even my apartment. This is a temporary unit. I can't have like this happening. Anyway, that happened, and I was in a state of shock trying to deal with that. And he leans over me and starts screaming at me about how we need to go. They're expecting us. His talking about his family. And there was obviously no way, I guess, in my mental state that I could process what just happened. I loaded my dog back up into my car with his daughter and him and drove about an hour away to his mom's house. My intention the entire drive was to drop him off, drop his daughter off, take my dog, and return back to my apartment and have nothing more to do with him ever again because of that incident. And what happened during that drop off was even more insanity that I can't even quite articulate. I think in a, in a way that makes sense, but I'm going to do my best. So we were arguing about what he had done. It was my belief, based upon his behavior, that he definitely needed to be on some form of medication because his behavior was so erratic. And we were arguing in my car, and he was insisting that I stay in a relationship with him, which I was not prepared to do after what just happened. And we were arguing about that. And I said, because I was fearful, I said, the only way I would even consider that is if you go in there and you tell your mom exactly what you did and, get on medication or something like that. But what had happened in the vehicle is I was, trying to get him to get out of my vehicle. I was trying to get him to understand that, like, we were done. This idiot had the audacity, after abusing my dog. Keep in mind, my dog is like walking all over his mom's wooden porch, her side porch to her house, and is tracking bloody paw prints all over that porch. And this idiot had the audacity to try to propose to me sitting in my car with him. And he did actually have a ring. And I was like, no, absolutely not. No, that's not going to happen. Then, because I refused, He proceeded to choke me. I was in the driver's seat. He was in the passenger seat. He reaches over and proceeds to choke me with my seatbelt because I told him no. This is in his mom's backyard. So I want you to tell me what environment women are safe in. Because if this idiot thought that it was something he could get away with to do that to me in his mom's yard, tell me how women being abused is an environmental factor. Basically, what I'm telling you is that if this person is going to abuse you, he's not going to care where it takes place. He's going to do it anywhere and everywhere, and he's going to think he can do it with impunity. What I want to talk about, though, is that this pattern of abusive behavior, this was kind of a running theme in my life. I had several very hostile, unkind, unloving relationships where I was just badly abused in a variety of ways. And the reason I wanted to mention this specific incident is the way that that relationship ended. Luckily, I had brothers that, care about me, care about my well-being, and they assisted me in having the funds to change the locks on my apartment. They also, were emotionally supportive during that situation. And what I ended up doing was taking his stuff back to his mom's house, giving it to her. After he had choked me with the seatbelt, I was fearful, so I did take the ring from him because I didn't know how his behavior was going to escalate. And anyway, when I took all of his shit back and gave it to his mom when he was on a trip to see his grandfather, I gave all of his shit back to his mom. And because I was so traumatized by what this jackass had done to me, I actually proceeded to apologize to her. That is what I mean by having like Stockholm syndrome, by not really placing the responsibility and the culpability where it belongs when it comes to abusive relationships. And also, society has this tendency to want to turn the situation around and say, well, did you facilitate it happening? Well, what did you do to trigger him? They always want to not hold the perpetrator of the physical abuse or the sexual abuse responsible for their conduct. So I just wanted to give this example to you guys so that you could understand that that whole day, that whole evening was just like one thing after another, and it escalated and it escalated and it escalated. Now, can you imagine if I had actually stayed in that toxic abusive dynamic? Can you imagine what my fate would have potentially been? Because at that point, we were still in what many people would consider a courtship phase, and he was already extremely abusive and extremely dysfunctional and had traumatized me to the point where I was internalizing his abuse and making it my fault. There's a reason why I have been celibate for 6 years. There is a reason why I have chosen and not to even pursue any relationships. And one of the biggest reasons for that is I fully acknowledge that I seem to have an incapability to pick safe people to be around in a relationship context. So for me, it's much safer to have a relationship with Jesus Christ than it is to try to have a relationship in the earthly realm, I guess would be the best way to put it. I'm certainly not saying that this is going to happen to everybody, but please consider the way that somebody interacts with animals and whether or not you think, based upon that conduct, that abusive behavior could eventually impact you. Just like many mothers will say, well, he only abused me. In my experience, it's only a matter of time before they start abusing the children or the animals or both. I hope you have a safe and blessed Sunday. God bless.